Hello and welcome everybody to the latest installment in the incredible adventures of the unsinkable Alice Baker. Today we are coming live from you from the same room.
See how this goes.
See how this goes. And we are using Audacity to record this, which is why you may be hearing some interference. We'll try to get rid of it, although we don't think it will be a problem. But there won't be any videos. So those of you who are watching this on YouTube, you will be presented with a lovely portrait of Alice Baker, and that's all you'll be seeing all evening, so you don't have to worry about it. And those of you who are listening to the podcast, it doesn't matter anyway. So, last time you basically ran into a wooden vampire in London in an exhibition called Deepest Darkest Africa, and you got rid of it. You found out about it and basically you killed it together with the help of 2 police officers and the intrepid, adventurous Dottie. And you were basically in London because you were waiting for your trip back to the United States, to New York, and you had basically passage booked on a ship back to the States, and the ship has finally sailed from Britain. And a couple of days later, I want to say 7 days later, you saw Lady Liberty on Staten Island, on Ellis Island. And you have arrived and you have made it home. You had your stuff crated in Egypt and sent by ship.
Yep.
Ahead of time,
including
all of the stuff that you actually got as presents for your family, etc.
Yes.
And so you arrive and there are 2 souls waiting for you. Number 1, of course, Maeve the Great. And secondly, Teresa McFarlane, who has been looking after your place for the last couple of months, really. Several months, actually, because it's now January. You left at the end of October. And it is now 18th of February. So 18th of February, 1932. And it's a wet day in New York, cold as well. And you make your way home. You arrive, you open the door, and you hear the pitter-patter of little feet as Maeve the Great runs towards you, jumps into your arms. The last time you saw her, she was able to speak to you. Now she gives you a really loud meow.
Hello, darling. And Maeve will get scritches. I think Alice is just basically standing in the hallway, giving Maeve some scritches behind the ear, and well, we know you understand us, so we are glad to be back home. I hope you are okay, nothing happened. And then I would set her down and basically give her the chance to walk over to Dottie.
She walks over to Dottie and also jumps up at her. Dottie takes a little bit of a double take because Maeve is kind of associated with Ulthar, and Ulthar was the place where Dottie found out that maybe not all is the way she was taught it was going to be, that there are multiple gods, and that maybe there isn't just the one place where people go when they die, but Maeve can melt hearts. She's a cat. So Dottie, and she was given to Dottie by you, so she is, by all intents and purposes, Dottie's cat. So Dottie actually then, the 2 of them make up, but Dottie now speaks to Maeve like Maeve can understand you guys, because you know she can, and proceeds to tell her all about your passage, the travels, and what happened to the 2 of you in France, where basically, well, nothing really happened. You had a really lovely time there. And then also what happened to you in Britain, in England, where you did have a really weird encounter with the wooden vampire. Teresa is basically standing by And then when you're ready to say hello to her, she welcomes you back. She also tells you that all of the messages, and there have been plenty, including all of the post, is now on the dining room table, because she used to store it next to the door on that little wooden table, but that soon became too small. So she says everything's out there, but she has also decided to sort out all of the older newspapers. She's kept them if you want to peruse them, but she's kept the ones for the last 7 days, and they are also on the dining table. And then basically she tries to wrest the suitcases from Dottie, but Dottie decides that the two of them should carry them because they are not that small either. And the two of them make their way upstairs to basically get rid of the luggage that you brought as carry-on, as it were. And what do you do?
I think Alice would put her, I'm quite sure she has gloves, since it's February, put her gloves on the table next to the door. Will hang her coat in peace and quiet. She wouldn't have let Teresa do that. She would have done it herself now. And then she would walk over to the kitchen and set up hot water for some tea. And then she would walk over to the dining room table, sit down, and start browsing through the notes and letters and whatever's there. The newspapers at the side at the moment, it's not priority one. First to look through letters and whatever's there on notes, just to see if there's anything urgent.
Yep. Basically there are some I wonder how you would have dealt with the bills. I assume that you would have given Teresa authority to spend money to a certain degree.
Definitely.
So basically, when you go to the dining room table, you see that she has put all of the invoices in one stack and has noted that they have been paid and when she paid them.
Perfect.
And then there's a stack of letters, and there are the usual letters, like invitations to balls. Most of them are already gone. What she's done is also she's ordered them in chronological order. So the oldest ones are at the bottom, and the newest ones are at the top. So as you look at the stack of papers, the ones that are most urgent, because they are probably most recent, are at the top.
Okay.
There are some balls that you've been invited to, like Christmas and stuff, as you go through it. There's also a couple of letters from your mother, basically one of them saying, well, Alice, when you're back, please ring us. There are also several Christmas cards, obviously, that you've received, wishes for the new year. There's also a letter from Penny. And she has been traveling together with Alexandra. They've been to Mexico over the Christmas period. And basically she spent 2 days for Christmas in Texas with her husband Bob and his girlfriend Sabine. And then the two of them proceeded to go south to Mexico, where they spent New Year's and had a really lovely time on the coast. There's also a couple of postcards from Martha and from other people. There's nothing from Pamela, but then again, you did spend a lot of time with Pamela. Why should she write to you?
And she knows that we are not back, so she would have known roughly around when we would plan to leave, because she knows how long she prepared her house for us to be there.
And then there is also a letter from Alex Coxton, Professor Alex Coxton, who is a curator, and you know her, she's a friend of yours at the Museum of...
At the Met.
At the Met, sorry, the Metropolitan Museum. And basically she's telling you that there is going to be an evening do at the Met. Because they have there's been a competition, and they have been selecting first prize, second prize, third prize of painting
Mhm.
in 2 categories. The first category is new perspectives,
Mhm.
and the second one is New York cityscapes. And the prizes have already been awarded. So basically, there was a jury. They made the decision who's going to win, and the prizes will be awarded that evening. And she would like you, if you are free, to join, because it's going to be a really nice do. Anthony Mayhew is going to be there, who is the person that she recommended should teach William Perkins.
Yep.
And she's letting on that said William Perkins has actually made it onto the pedestal. So he has won second prize in the New York cityscapes category.
And it's this evening?
No, it's in
Okay.
it's in 2 weeks from
Okay,
now.
in 2 weeks.
So you check, and it's basically in 10 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This will she will start to make piles. Although no, she will honestly she will get up, grab a bin and put it next to her, and she will go through and everything that is not needed or read through but doesn't need to be kept, but because she wouldn't keep like letters from mom. Or also the Christmas cards for her is like it's too late now to really react to them. She will read them, she will recognize who wrote them, and
Yeah.
then they will go in the bin. And then she will have a little pile of things that she needs to answer, and a little pile of things I wanna attend that are still in the future. So
Yeah.
this one for sure goes into I will be there, and she will ask Dottie for sure as well. And Penny's letter or Penny's news will also go on the pile to be answered, because Penny will get a letter with a lot of storytelling of what Alice was up to during the winter time, because she knows Penny would be interested as well. And the invoices, I think she would keep for another day, because she has trust in Teresa that she would just do it perfectly. And mom will be parked for later. And then she will, in between, get up and also make some tea. Not only for her, but really she would do a pot of tea, so everyone can have a little bit of tea if they want to, because she's quite sure that Dottie will come down at least after a while.
Dottie, you can hear the two of them talking and going, going back and forth upstairs. But at some point, you hear two sets of footsteps coming down again.
Yeah.
Because essentially, stuff will have to be put into the washing. That's very easy to do. You basically just dump it out of the luggage boxes, because you would be probably moving with trunks, really. And Dottie then also says, oh, and the stuff that we've had sent over is already upstairs, and Teresa just basically informs you that she didn't lug all of the stuff herself, but that whoever delivered it, she basically asked them to put it on the first floor or second floor respectively, and that the trunks have been opened and the crates have also been opened. So the stuff that was meant for your house has been sorted.
Perfect.
And the stuff that is basically presents has also been put in a pile of presents. And I suppose you would probably have wrapped them already, so that they're ready to give.
Yeah.
There is this little statue of Bastet that Dottie has brought down, and she says, now Maeve, this we bought for you. And she sets it down in front of Maeve, and Maeve looks at it, and she walks around it once and pushes it with her nose, and it's a clear sign of appreciation. She understands this gift. And then Dottie says to you, where should we put it?
Maybe somewhere in the lounge, I think, near the fireplace somewhere. Looking at Maeve, if she approves or if we are getting like loud yelling, like what on earth are you thinking?
Maeve actually jumps on one of the little side tables and then
Mm-hmm.
jumps onto the mantelpiece and positions herself in kind of like a really statuesque
Mm-hmm.
position on the mantelpiece and looks at you like she's saying, well, just put it where I'm sitting now because that would be perfect.
Well, I think we have a space dotty. That one is perfect there, and I would grab Maeve and just put her on my arm and just give her a little bit of scratches.
And Dottie places the statue of Bastard in the same position that Maeve was in,
Mm-hmm.
adjusts it a little so that it's just so, and then you can tell that Maeve approves because she starts purring really loudly.
Good. So I will keep her in my arm. I'm just thinking, I can't find it in my notes, but I remembered that we got something for Teresa as well.
Yeah, but you never specified what it was.
No,
You
it
just said
wasn't.
that it
We
was
said
going to
something
be
not too
something.
crazy, that Dottie was helping to find something.
Yeah, I think you were thinking about either some kind of scarf.
I think a scarf was the idea.
Yeah,
Not
something
not
she
too
would be
wild
wearing.
what she was wearing, so not expensive silk or so,
Yeah.
or something more. And yeah, Alice would go for that, and she would like she would just hold it out to Teresa. We also got you something. Thank you for keeping all of this here together and for taking care of everything.
Why, thank you, madam. This isn't necessary.
Oh, yes, it is.
She takes it, and it's of course, you know, like it. She feels it's soft through the wrapping, and she undoes the strings that hold it together, and she unwraps it, and she sees this really beautiful, very understated, high quality scarf. And she just looks at you and she beams at you, and she just doesn't know what to say. And Dottie says, well, put it on. Let's see it. And she basically puts it on and ties it in a nice bow around her neck. And then, yeah, looks at you, and it looks really good on her. You
Yeah.
made a really good choice there.
Alice will look over to Dottie like, I think that was a fantastic pick. And it will keep you warm in this miserable weather out there.
Yes, it will. It will. Teresa says it's been a really miserable winter. Very, very well, you know, not cold enough for it to snow, but just miserably cold and constantly raining. It's not been a really nice winter. We've had so much water.
Highly suspect in London the weather would have been probably similar. Thinking about February,
Yeah.
end of January, February, so at least it was cold and wet probably as
Yeah.
well. So not too big of a shock.
Hmm.
Yeah, so we could have some tea. Tea is ready.
Hmm.
And Alice will also offer Teresa some tea.
Teresa actually takes it after she basically breathes in, and then she stops herself, and then she accepts the tea graciously because she remembers that you guys are a little bit weird.
Yeah, I think with a teacup in her hand, Alice would just go through the piles that are left, like the invoice and a few more, and would just turn to Teresa. You are marvelous at organizing everything. This is fantastic. So,
She smiles.
well done. And Dottie, we will have a few things we need to go through and see if we want to attend them.
Dottie says, "Why? What things?"
Well, there are a few notes about meeting up for coffee or tea. I will see about that. But we have one interesting thing from Alex. The Met did a competition to find some amazing artists, and there are two topics: so New Perspective and New York Cityscapes. And they will have like the presentation of the basically awards and the winners in 10 days. So I think a little visit at the Met.
Wow, yes, I'd love that.
And our boy is in there as well. I don't think he won, but at least he's in the top 3 as it looks.
That's fantastic.
That's a good place to start to get back into socializing.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I'm so glad for William, because I know that he was you know, he was struggling sometimes, but it's good to know that he's managed to be so successful.
I think the teaching lessons really
Yeah.
made a because there's so much talent. He just needed the push, I think,
Yeah.
and it looks like he got it. So I'm really curious to see. So I will write tomorrow
Hmm.
to Alex and tell her that we are back and we gladly join, and that we are a little proud of our boy. And I think the rest would be more for Alice to do, like little coffee talks and smaller things, probably here and there, with not best friends, but the things you do when you socialize, just
Hmm.
to slowly get back. So tomorrow she will probably in the morning sit down and write a lot of letters to a
Hmm.
lot of people.
Yeah.
But yeah, for today she will just be relaxed, and I think after some tea she would go upstairs to her room also to unpack
Hmm.
and put the things where she wants to put them. She bought a few things for herself as well, just to put them where she really wants to put them.
Hmm.
So probably like a vase, a statue here, so smaller things she will have picked up.
Yeah.
And in between, she would just contemplate on when would be the best time to call the
Home.
parents.
Hmm.
And she will go through the calendar and will be carefully thinking about when would mom not be at home but dad. And she will like try a little and see if in the next 2 or 3 days there is like a slot where she suspects her mother not to be there. And that would be then the space where she would take the phone.
Okay.
So probably not this day. That's too early. She
Yeah.
she would let 2 3 days pass and then try to call.
Hmm.
And she would also on the next day or even on that day maybe start to prepare packages for the gifts that she needs to send out.
Hmm.
So I'm quite sure she got a little bit for Penny. She will write a letter to add to the gift.
Yeah.
And probably to the surprise of Dottie, there's also a small package for, well, not so small package, so more like a box where you put shoes from the size.
Yeah. Yeah.
A box for Matthew.
For Matthew.
Yep.
And what's inside?
It would be some kind of statue,
Okay.
maybe from a sphinx. So
Okay.
definitely from Egypt.
Hmm.
And quite nicely looking. And she would also write a few lines with it that she was in Egypt, it was lovely, and she never gave him anything as present for his new life and his new home. So this is good luck and have a lovely life. And hope to see you whenever you are back in New York for a visit.
Do you tell Dottie that you're sending him a gift?
No, she
No.
will just put it together, but she would not hide it. So I'm quite sure on the pile, on it will not be a giant pile, but with a few packages that are prepared, I'm quite sure Dottie would recognize Matthew's name on there.
Hmm. Okay, let's see what she says to this. I rolled an 11 on her composure, on her power, which is 85. That I remember. I don't even need to look at her character sheet. She's completely composed. Do you think that she would say something?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think she would park it in a little bit of I'm proud of you that you're doing that. I think the only thing Dottie would start to nag about is maybe you should call your mom. I think
Yes.
that is something that will come through.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also not sure, did Dottie get anything for her parents?
She would have, but it would also have been one of those things that is quite difficult to do because she would not really want to. It can't be something that really shows off.
No, I think also like a nice scarf.
Yeah.
That is nice, but
Mm-hmm.
not too out of the park. Or for her mother, maybe also a nice hat or
Yeah.
something, but taken back that she would
Yeah.
wear. Or a nice box for the cigarettes for her father, because I could imagine also her father be smoking. Not maybe
Oh,
expensive
yes.
cigars, but for tobacco. So
Yeah.
small things that they can have at home without it being flashy madness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would make sense
Yeah.
for her. And I'm quite sure Dottie is the good daughter that at least the next day after we arrived, she will at least contact
Yeah, well, she
or
can't call them
visit.
because they don't have a phone, so she
Yeah,
would actually then tell you that she's
sh-
going to
to leave girl
walk
and
over.
yeah, walk over.
Yeah.
I think that's yeah. That would be the day where Alice would sit down to write everything, to prepare the packages, to also she will go through the newspapers of the last days
Mm-hmm.
just to see what happened, just to halfway be back on track what is happening, be it in politics, in the city,
Mm-hmm.
who married, just what is happening, just to be caught up a little.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, people have been busy. There have been some. Well, I don't think actually winter is the time for weddings, but you do see that people are getting engaged,
Mm-hmm.
ready for a um summer wedding
Yeah.
starting April, May, June, because as of July, August, people tend to leave the city because it's just getting too hot. Um, it's actually not necessarily people you would meet on a regular basis simply because they are one generation below you.
Mm-hmm.
They're 8 to 10 years younger than you, but you know the family names.
Yeah.
And so basically, this is something that you can do and that you do. And then Dottie comes home again and she says, "Well, Alice, have you called to your mother yet?"
No. I'm waiting for the right time.
Well, if you start saying you're waiting for the right time, then the answer is that's never gonna happen.
Oh, I will call. I'm just waiting for the right time that my dad is there.
And your mom isn't?
Correct.
Alice.
That's the easiest way to go.
But I mean, you haven't been home in 3 months. You've been away for 3 months in a foreign country, in several foreign countries, three to be exact. Don't you think she would love to know how you're getting on? I mean, it was so difficult to even make you write a couple of postcards. I had to practically put a gun to your head.
I've been away from not seeing them for much longer.
But you've been abroad. Lots of things did happen to you while you were abroad, things that we can't talk about, obviously. But I mean, they want to know how you're doing. And your mother loves you, you know that.
Yes, I do, but still, I will rather prefer to talk to my dad.
You're impossible, Alice.
I'm just going the easy way in this case.
She shakes her head.
But have you seen this? And she would pull out the paper, and because I'm just googling at the moment what happened in February 32.
And what happened?
In Lake Placid, they did the Olympic Winter Games,
Oh,
and that
okay.
was over February. So
Wow.
so we are back home shortly after they finished, but
Mm-hmm.
it would be in the newspapers for sure.
Absolutely. Yes,
So
yes.
so she would like that is something. With I
Wow.
completely missed that we had that going on in the States.
She looks at it and she's very interested, obviously, and she reads up on it. Um, and then basically at some point the day comes when it is time to ring your parents.
Yeah, I will do and cross my fingers and hope for the best.
The Baker residence, it's Hopkins.
Hopkins, Alice here. Is my parents in?
Yes, which one would you like to talk to?
So both are in.
Yes.
This is disappointing. Then my mother, I guess. If not, we will both not be alive for much longer.
He doesn't comment on it. The laughter was entirely mine. He puts down the receiver after he says, "Very well, madam," and then you hear footsteps. First his, and then you hear very quick footsteps in kind of semi-high heels coming towards the phone. The receiver is picked up. You hear the dingle-dangle of her jewelry. Alice, darling, how are you doing?
Mother, thank you. Well, how are you doing?
Of course we are fine. I mean, we've been missing you. I mean, it wasn't us who was away for months at a time in Europe and in North Africa. So tell me all about it. When are you going to come over? I want to throw a soiree in your honor and invite
Give me some time to just arrive, maybe. We've been away for quite a while. I will need some time to sort all my affairs, to make sure everything is prepared and paid, and I can swing by at least for a quick tea with you and father. That would be no problem.
Would you please give me a date? Because then I'm going to invite Simon Carmichael. You will love him.
I will be there in about an hour because the next days are quite busy.
I've told Simon so much about you. He's dying to meet you, darling.
I'm not planning to leave New York in the next, so maybe one day we can set something up when everything is gone through. I have quite a few invites, I have to say, on my desk, and I need to go through and meet up with people.
He's 35 and still unmarried. The two of you would fit perfectly.
The question is, would she know him?
Well,
Name-wise, probably.
he's a couple of years older than you are, so let's check. Let's do a luck roll. So my first roll is a 15. It's hard to... And an 85. No, you don't know him.
Okay. Well, I don't know Simon, so I have no idea. But yeah.
Oh, he's recently moved from Boston.
From Boston.
He comes highly recommended.
And his job is?
He's a lawyer.
Oh dear. I think, Mother, my time with lawyers is it's nice to have a lawyer at hand. Don't get me wrong. I learned that from you. It's always helpful to have a good lawyer at hand. But no.
Dear, I know that Matthew was probably the wrong choice. I mean, him going off with this Pamela person and then coming back and just marrying this young lady from Boston without so much as a normal engagement period. But not all men are like that. And since William Perkins seems to be lost to you as well, I mean, I saw him the other day. Something tells me he's just not that into you.
No, he's not. And I think it's a vice versa thing, which is totally fine. And Matthew is living his own life, and he's doing exactly what his family is expecting from him.
But you could have married him. You are such a... I mean, you have money and class, darling. You would have been the perfect match for him, and his family would have approved. I mean, his mother and me had been talking about this for such a long time.
I know that is exactly the reason why it never happened. He's more like a brother than anything else.
But you see, Simon is somebody you don't know, so let me introduce you to him. How about you come by in 2 days' time for dinner?
Mother, as I said, I'm quite busy in the next days. I can't promise you. I would only know if it's not an inconvenience. I would like to swing by in, as I said, about 1 or 2 hours and at least bring you what I got you from Egypt.
Alice, then come by, but I'm telling you, your clock is ticking.
I'm not dying, Mother. I still have a lot of years ahead of me.
You hear in the background, Patricia, we've been over this. Hand me that receiver. Richard, you talk to your daughter. Darling.
I'm still torn. No, she would say father. I don't think she would say dad. I think it would be formal still during that age. But I'm glad to be back, and I'm glad to hear everything is just as usual.
Well, I'm so glad that you're back. I can tell you that Simon Fellow, he is a nice guy. However,
He's a lawyer. That is already like, I highly doubt he would be able to keep up with me for long.
I also don't get me wrong, but I'm not sure he's interested. He's at the beginning of his career. I think moving from Boston to New York has been quite trying. He's setting up his own practice, and I honestly don't think he would have time to get married. But your mother doesn't understand. She's old friends with his parents, and they've basically asked her to keep an eye out for him. They didn't ask her to hook him up with her daughter.
What we can do, she can give me the contact data of Simon, and I can see if I can meet him at least for a coffee. Maybe he would love to have like social contacts, and I can, if he's into, like, I don't know, going out for dance or into the museum or to the cinema, whatever, theater, I can at least give him the way, and that he can meet people and get part of this through our age and not Mom's channels, as much as I love her.
He chuckles.
So, but we will see. I told Mom I will swing by in a little bit.
Oh,
because
yes, would you? That would be so lovely.
I got you a few nice things.
Oh, you shouldn't have.
Well, honestly, Mother would not be appreciative if I would come back and wouldn't have gotten anything.
I think she would, because the main thing is that you're back. She's been talking about nothing else. Basically wondering on a daily basis how you're getting on, and, is it too hot? Is it too cold? Who's going to look after you? And so on and so forth.
Then let me just finish a few things here, and then I will swing by, and then I can tell you everything about our trip, because it was lovely, and it was too hot, and it was too cold, depending on where we were, but it was really, really nice.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And how is your Dottie doing?
She is fantastic. She enjoyed the trip as well, and we are back in one piece, both of us. She's at the moment, also settling, just as I am, to get everything back on track.
Good, good. So what are your plans for this year? Because I think getting married is probably not one of them.
Well, I have my work, so I will definitely look out for cases and try if I can see if I can help anyone. And, well, in the next week, it's probably more of getting back on track and meeting everybody, that everyone knows I'm back in town. And help Dottie getting settled in a university.
University?
Yes.
What is she going to university for?
Well, it's never too late to start learning things. I am quite tempted to start university maybe on history. That's quite an interesting topic. I never really dove into that deep. And I have to say, after visiting Egypt and seeing all the history there, it's quite something I might get curious on as well.
Well,
but let's talk in peace and quiet when I'm at your place. I will be there in a little bit.
I have to say that that is quite an interesting development. And I applaud you for it. And good for Miss Williams.
That is Lovely to say from you. I will tell her that.
Please be careful how you phrase it in front of your mom.
I will, and we will not talk about that in front of Mother. Maybe that I'm thinking about doing that, just to learn more. She will be offended by that anyhow, but that will be okay. And the rest we will just leave where it is. And then, yeah, I will see you in a little bit.
See you then, darling. And he rings off.
Yep, Alice will hang up. She didn't plan to visit, but now with the prospect of, oh no, I don't want to have another awkward dinner with my mother and someone, she will just let Dottie know, like, I'm spontaneously visiting my parents, like now.
Oh, that's terribly good of you. That's brilliant.
Yeah, well, it's more the chance to flee an dinner invitation from my mother in 2 days.
Why don't you want to go to dinner?
Because it's not just my mother. She wants to do a big thing and she found someone I should marry. So I'm just passing by that poor fellow who probably doesn't even want to. I'll just swing by now. And my dad, by the way, is very proud of you wanting to go to university. Thumbs up. It's a great decision, he says.
You told him?
Oh, yes. No worries. My mom doesn't know. She will not know.
But we haven't even fixed the financing.
That's not a problem.
Someone has to pay. I will have to do a lot of overtime in order to afford going to university, Alice.
The thing is, what you're learning is helping us in a business, so it's an investment. And I'm quite tempted to think if I want to do a few lessons in history.
She beams at you because she's decided to do ancient history and archaeology and is going to work on her Latin and Greek. So then we can go together.
At least, yes. I'm not sure if I will be patiently enough to go through everything, but at least I can follow along a little bit, because after all we've been through, I think that is knowledge that is absolutely helpful.
I mean, and also it's very, very interesting.
It is, indeed. And for financing, we will just figure it out. As I said, for me it's an investment in you, obviously, but also in our work, in our company.
Well then, I would say give my best regards to your mother and father, but it would be highly inappropriate. So I just hope that you enjoy the tea.
I will do so, and I will tell Mom that you were perfectly as you always are, and there's nothing to complain.
Can you give her this? Because I brought her a gift.
Oh, for sure.
And she hands you a bag.
Mm-hmm.
This is ground mocha.
She will enjoy that.
I hope so.
We will see.
I've
will
also
tell you.
added instructions for cooks that she knows how to prepare it.
Oh, that is perfect. I will give that. So let me just grab my things. And also, by the way, in newspaper, I've seen a new movie coming out with Marlene Dietrich. I think we need to go to the cinema in the next days. Shanghai Express. That sounds really interesting, although I have no idea about China and Shanghai. But it sounds good. It sounds good. The premiere was like a few days ago here.
She's very excited. She likes
that is
going
something
to the
we
movies.
need to have in mind and see if we can grab some tickets in the next days.
Mhm.
And then Alice will run upstairs, get dressed properly. More shocking for a mother, probably. It will be not 100% appropriate, because why should Alice take care of that? So Alice is happy with what she's wearing. Her mother will be offended, like always. And then she will grab the gifts for her mother, her father, and also clearly the mocha.
Mm-hmm.
And then she would have called a cab that will swing by and bring her to her parents.
So you grab a cab, it's not a problem. Basically, you ring it, it picks you up, you go to your parents. Hopkins opens the door. Madam.
Hopkins, nice to see you. Good to see that you're fine as always.
Very welcome, madam. Please step inside. And he holds the door for you. He takes your coat and he says, your mother is waiting in the salon for you. Your father will be down presently.
Well, thank you. Alice will take a deep breath, just like I can do this, and she will step and she will walk over to her mother.
Your mother is all presents as usual. She gets up. Whichever movement Patricia Baker makes
Mm-hmm.
they are all completely perfectly choreographed. Nothing is ever left to chance. It's a perfect hostess welcoming a guest. She
Mm-hmm.
kisses you on both cheeks, holds both your hands, and says, "Let me look at you, Alice. Oh, you've lost weight again. You
I
should.
did not, Mother.
That girl of yours really isn't feeding you enough."
She is taking perfectly care of me. I've never eaten better in the last weeks.
And although you've been in Egypt, you're kind of still a little bit pale. And she takes your cheek between two fingers and basically.
Well, we learned quite early that sunburn is not a nice thing to do to yourself in Egypt, and I was in Europe for quite a while, and they have the same nasty weather as we have at the moment.
Quite. But you do look well.
Well, thank you. Look well, beautiful as always. Though
Thank you.
that is good to see.
We will be having tea, and your father will be joining us presently. And at that moment, actually, the door opens and one of the maid comes in and she's serving tea. And there are biscuits and there is jam and there is scones and butter and cream and tea. And then your father steps inside. He is just basically, he's still smelling of cigars, but he's not smoking in your mum's presence. Although she does smoke cigarettes and they smoke cigarettes together, but when it's cigars, it's only him and you. Something she does not approve of. No daughter of hers should be smoking cigars. Did you bring the presents with you?
Obviously, I brought this presents with me,
So there are
I will give my
parcels now.
father a hug. So it's definitely more personal and close with a father. With a mother, it's more formal. And then she would just pull out the first thing, which would be the mocha, I think. And she would just put it. This is for both of you. I have to say, Dottie had the idea, and I think you would enjoy it just as we did, because we bought quite a bit of that and brought it home. That is coffee. It's mocha. It's stronger and different than we know, but it's so delicious to drink. And Dottie even put all the instructions for the cook on how it needs to be done. So I think that would be a nice treat for both of you from Egypt.
Oh, that is brilliant. Thank you so much.
And clearly, if the cook has questions, just contact our house. So Dottie is a master of mocha by now. She took some time to learn it, and that will be something I will try to get my hands on even afterwards.
Well, it's a good thing. It's a good thing that your maid is still learning and adding to her knowledge, because she really needs to take good care of you. Don't you think that she's awfully thin, Richard? And Richard just looks at her and he says, "Patricia, our daughter looks magnificent. And I don't think she is too thin. If she feels healthy the way she is, then she is healthy."
I'm healthy as always, and Dottie never stops learning.
He gives you a smile.
Yeah, he will get a smirk, but then she would pull out the next piece, which would be what did I get for my mother?
A hat.
A hat.
Not too fancy a one, but a really classy one from Paris.
Okay, so that would be the first. I don't know. I think she would also. That would not be the first thing. I think she brought her mother definitely something from Egypt as well.
Oh yes,
quite
you
sure.
did. You bought something in
Was
the
it a
antique store.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
I'm honestly not sure what.
It was something that was. Oh yes, I remember. You bought her a faience cup, a drinking cup, which is an original. Where you also got the certificate of origin, blah blah blah, with the description that it's got a chipped rim, something, blah blah blah, because it is. He said it was from Roman time, so basically it was from Greek times, so around about turn of the Common Era. And he told you that there are so many of them that Egypt is actually allowing people to export them. That's what you got, and including a certificate of origin and everything, and it's genuine. One that is Egyptian, that stands out, but that's not like the tacky tourist stuff. That's what you got her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would present that to her first.
She takes it and she unwraps it, and she is, of course, really smitten with it because you and she have very good taste, and this is an excellent taste. And she basically looks around and she says, well, I think we should put this in the dining room, Richard, because it is so beautiful and it goes with the wallpaper, and we could put it on the Louis XV sideboard right in the middle underneath the painting on the wall. It's a beautiful piece. Thank you so much, Alice. And she kisses you on both cheeks.
Well, always. She will put down the box for the cigars for her father, because I'm quite sure that she got in Egypt.
Yeah, you got that in Luxor. And it's rosewood with a scarab engraving.
So this is for you from Egypt.
He unpacks it and it's lovely, and also your mother agrees because, again, it's in really good taste and it's just very well made, good craftsmanship, and just a lovely piece that, you know, he can put on his desk and put his cigars in it. And they are both really happy with their gifts, and thank you profusely for them.
I'm also quite sure I got a painting for my parents.
But I think it's one of those, a painting.
I think it was a painting.
But on papyrus, probably not one of the framed ones, right?
I think it was a framed one. But I'm not sure. I just wrote down painting.
Was it one of Lagrange's paintings, maybe?
I think so.
Yeah. So you have this as well. And then, of course, last but by no means least, the hat from France for your mother.
Yeah, and for my dad, I would have brought some whiskey, I'm quite sure.
Yeah.
So first...
You actually got wine for them.
Wine from France?
Pamela's
that's right.
Vineyard.
So I would put the wine just... Well, obviously, French wine. And it was from the estate, from
from her
Pamela's
ex-husband. Yes.
So we tasted the wine. It's lovely, lovely to taste. And from Paris, mother, I brought you this, and she would put the hat on the table, or the box where the hat is in. Although the box clearly yells, "I'm a hat box."
Yeah.
But I think that would look marvelous on you.
She takes it out. Again, it's perfect craftsmanship. It's in excellent taste. She puts it on and it looks stunning on her. Your mother is a very beautiful woman, and this enhances her beauty. Yeah.
And from France, no one else here will have it. So that would be something to show around for sure in the next. And it's still the weather to wear it.
Yeah. Your parents are delighted, and as your father is looking at your mother, you see that he is, of course, still, after 40 years married to her, he's still in love with her. You can easily tell. And he is appreciative of her, but also of her beauty to a certain degree, and she just looks brilliant in that hat. So the two of them are really happy. Tea is excellent. And the three of you have a really nice time. They want to know all about Egypt, obviously.
Well, I will tell them all the normal things. I will
Yes.
leave out all the weird things, but I will tell them about what we've seen, about the museums there, about Luxor, and that we also were on an expedition for a few days, and then also clearly about France, which was easy because you don't have to lie. That was just easy enough to enjoy time with Pamela and the family on the lovely estate. And then, yeah, about London, what is there, that we went to theatre and the beautiful museum there, obviously leaving out the creepy things.
Hmm.
And also telling them, I think, about the sailing, so how it was on board, because
Yes.
the food was lovely, and we met so many nice people from here, and.
They're very impressed. Do you think that they would ever have been as far away as Egypt
No,
themselves? Mhm.
I don't think
Okay.
so.
So of course, your father made his money in shipping,
Hmm.
so he knows all about shipping goods
Yeah.
and maybe something about shipping people. But of course, listening to somebody who's actually been on board one of those ships, he's very interested. So he's asking tonnage and that kind of thing, and cabin sizes and blah.
I'm not sure. It might be that her father, when he was young, that he saw a little bit of the world, sailing at least to Europe. Maybe it might be that he knew that, but I don't think her mother would have traveled far. I think Canada is probably the most
Yeah.
exotic thing she visited.
Hmm. All right. So basically, after a while,
Hmm.
the the afternoon draws to a close.
That would be also the time for Alice then to look at her watch and be like, well, it was lovely to come by, and thank you for taking the time spontaneously. Again, the offer, if you want me to meet Simon, just give me his contact data.
She smiles at you. He's such a charming young man.
I'm curious to meet him.
You will get on fabulously, the two of you. He's from a very good family, and your father just rolls his eyes.
Alice is just nodding, like, then I know you already prepared the. I know you. You already have it written down. So.
Yes, she does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she does. So she hands it to you, and then do you go home?
Yes.
Hmm.
I would go home. I would tell, honestly, my mother that I have something like a meetup for a drink in the evening. That's why I need to also leave. And that I will call them, period. And then I would leave, go home. Maybe spontaneously see if Dottie and I can go to the cinema.
Yeah. Dottie would have actually been investigating getting tickets for
Mm-hmm.
Shanghai Express, and she's managed to get tickets for the next evening.
Perfect. Then that's the plan for the next evening. Then this evening would be quite relaxed because I need to recuperate from mother. So Alice, I think Alice would probably just by reaction and just be like on when she's back home on the way to the bar tray, and then she would stop in front of it, be like setting the glass back down, be like, no, 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 this is not the way to go. And she would go in the kitchen and make herself a tea.
Let's see if dear Dottie has seen this.
Because this would be a normal situation for Alice, like, I need a drink after this.
Dottie has seen it, 31 over 72. She looks at you and she just gives you a brief nod.
Well, greetings from my parents. Thank you for the mocha idea. I think they enjoyed it.
I'm pretty sure that they will love it once they have it, and I know that Cook will make an excellent job of it.
I am quite sure with your instruction,
Absolutely.
it will definitely work out.
Are you going to make some tea? Will
Yes,
you make me a cup too?
obviously. And thank you for taking care of the cinema. I think it will be a good movie.
It'll be a great and fun evening. Maybe
Because
we should do dinner before.
we should for sure. Because Marlene Dietrich is stunning in movies.
She is.
And she's wearing pants.
Dottie gives you a very wide smile. I will not be wearing pants when we go out for dinner and then a show.
Honestly, I probably won't either. I have so many dresses that would like to see the world again because they've been in the closet for too long.
And the two of you basically then have a lovely rest of the evening. You
Yeah.
go to bed. The next day, nothing really happens.
Mm.
So, where do you want to go for dinner? Vittorio's? Your
Yes.
go-to Italian place? Okay, so
Yes,
you
we need to
reserve a
go
table.
just to see, and we would have reserved a table probably the evening before when we knew we
Yeah,
would call, reserve a table.
there is always a table for Mr. Becker,
We haven't been around for a long time,
but he
so,
remembers you.
well, obviously.
Obviously, who could forget
Who could
Alice?
forget Alice? And she's paying well,
Yes.
so, and that means, yeah, so Italian food first and then off to the cinema.
So you go to see Shanghai Express. I'm just Googling this now. So it's with Marlene Dietrich, Anna May Wong. And what happens in the film,
I
actually?
have no idea. I just saw
In
that it had the
1931,
premiere.
China is embroiled in a civil war. Friends of British Captain Donald Doc Harvey envy him because the fabulously notorious Shanghai Lily is a fellow passenger on the express train that he's taking from Beijing to Shanghai. Because the name means nothing to him, they inform him that she is a coaster, or a woman who lives by her wits along the China coast. In other words, she's a courtesan.
It looks like it.
Okay.
Kind of.
Ah, and they know him, and okay, and there's history.
It's a little bit of everything, as it
It's a
seems.
little bit of everything. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But looks interesting.
Yeah.
Because I have to admit, I heard the name of the movie, but I never watched it.
No, me neither. Me
But
neither.
yeah, I just stumbled over it. Had a premiere in New York, so I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that would be in the news.
Yeah, and the New York Times wrote about it. Miss Dietrich gives an impressive performance. She's languorous but fearless as Lily. So there we have it. Do you think this is the kind of movie that Alice would enjoy?
Yes, for sure. She would definitely enjoy that. And I think afterwards she would ask Dottie if Dottie is up for going out for a drink.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, Alice would drink, but not just as an enjoyable after together with friends.
Okay, so basically you go to a bar.
Yeah, we will go
Is it
to
a
a bar.
jazz club?
It would be
Mm-hmm.
something jazzy. Because I think Alice is missing that because she didn't have that kind of
Yeah.
jazz clubby feeling vibe music in the last months.
So you basically then have a really lovely evening.
Mm.
How does it feel being back in New York? Is Alice happy?
Yes, she enjoys it.
Mm-hmm.
She literally feels home.
Okay.
She's relaxed. She knows everything. There are no surprises, even surprises. So she really just enjoys like really relaxing, like back home. And
Mm-hmm. So, do you want to do anything in particular over the next couple of days before the evening due at the Met?
I think we would check the university when university would start and when someone could jump in, because you can't jump into university whenever you like. They would have trimesters, semesters, whatever at that time, I think, as well.
Mm-hmm.
But just to have a look and see what we need to uh, pay, fill out, prepare. I think that would be something to do. And I think in between she would just meet up with some friends that she
Mm-hmm.
has, but nothing really special sticking out.
Okay, so you have a couple of, like coffee evenings, coffee afternoons, going out, maybe even going to a jazz club or two.
Yeah.
And then that particular evening, basically the university starts in March.
Okay.
So it's not too far off. But I will just say that unlike today, it's more like you attend. Yes, you have to enroll, but it's different from today where you have to basically, it takes you ages to sign up. You have to write like 1 gazillion essays as to why you would want to study this and why that particular university should accept you as a student. Because back then, Only
If you-
very few people did go to university.
Yeah, and
to
if you
begin
can
with.
pay, you're allowed to be in. Yeah.
And it was all about who had the money.
Mhm.
And of course, you have money. So,
Yeah.
are you paying the tuition fees for Dottie Williams?
Yes, and for myself as well, just that I can
Mhm.
go in and out whenever I care for it.
Yeah. So basically, they will just ask you to, well, what would you like to study? And they essentially sign you up.
Yeah, we would check with them if we need any books and materials up front, that we can get them ordered.
Mm-hmm.
And
And basically,
That's
they tell you what to. They tell you that the most important thing is to sign up for the library, for a library use card, because you will have to spend a lot of time in the library, because you will be reading books that simply don't exist anymore. You know, you can't buy them. And then there's a couple of, especially for Dottie, there's an ancient Greek primer that they recommend she gets. And there's a book list, yes, and then mainly things like, like stationery and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, unlike maybe in Germany in the old days, it's really prescriptive. So you get like a set timetable. This is where you go, and this is when you go. And the start date is the 16th of March.
Good.
And then the evening comes around.
Yes.
The two of you, what are you going to put on for this evening? What kind of dress is Alice? Or clothes, let's put it this way.
No, it would be a dress. Something that she bought in Paris, I suspect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So a really a dress that you would really look at because it would stick out.
Yeah.
Something colorful, something maybe a little too open here and there, but not too much, but a little. And also probably adding a little hat to it or something, just to pretty it up a little. And I'm quite sure Dottie would not wear something like that. But I'm sure Dottie would wear something pretty as well, I'm quite sure.
Yeah, Dottie doesn't have as many pretty clothes as you have, but she definitely has.
But she has a few.
She will put on the beautiful coat that you got her. Because basically that is beautiful and it fits the time of year.
Yeah.
And she has, let's say, going out clothes. Yeah.
Probably Alice would be like, maybe a little lipstick, Dottie.
She...
Only if you're feeling okay with it. And she would hand over Dottie a lipstick from her collection, not too bright in color. So more like a rosy color, a little bit more discreet.
She actually decides not to wear that, because her problem, you think, is she doesn't want people to look at her.
She's so pretty.
Yeah, but not in her eyes. She believes that you are pretty, which, well, I mean, Alice is stunningly beautiful, but she actually doesn't really, she doesn't want to draw attention to herself because she was never brought up like this. You're supposed to fade into the background when you are Dottie Williams. So you go there, you take a taxi, you arrive at the Met.
Yep.
And it's a reception. So there are several people there, lots of people. There is press there, obviously. People are writing about this event. And Alex Coxton is there, and she sees you, and she basically welcomes you, and she introduces you to a couple of people. And I'm going to give you the names in the chat as well. We've got Robert Gliers, who is a yeah, exactly, who is a painter himself, and also a connoisseur of the arts, and he's a member of the jury. Then we have Lydia Gustafsson, or Lydia Gustafsson. She is 29 years old. She's a sculptor, and definitely of Swedish descent. You can hear it when she speaks. She's got very, very blonde hair, blue eyes, and she's got this typical Swedish lilt to her English. Then 68-year-old Hugh Oxner, who's a benefactor and collector of art. You know that he also sponsors up-and-coming artists. He gives scholarships to people that he would like to, like go to art college if they can't afford it.
Yeah.
He's kind of like a little bit portly. He doesn't care that people think that maybe smoking a cigar in public in front of ladies is the wrong thing. He doesn't care. He's holding on to a whiskey glass. He reminds you a little bit maybe of your dad, if your dad was into art. But he's a good-natured fellow. You know him. You have met him before. And then you're introduced to Constantine O'Shea, and he's a journalist, and he writes art columns for different newspapers in New York. You know that he travels as well to different cities on the North American continent when there are, let's say, exhibitions, and he comments on it. So all in all, this particular panel contains 5 people. So Alex Coxton is also a member of the panel. And then Robert Gliers, Lydia Gustafsson, Hugh Oxner, and Constantine O'Shea. And of course, there are the artists.
Yes. I would have definitely, when going in, having a look out if William
Perkins is there, as is Anthony Mayhew, his teacher, and the two of them, of course, know you. William has known you for a long time, and Anthony has been to your place at least twice, if not more often. They are very happy to see you. Anthony, if anything, looks even thinner and even more unhealthy than usual. I mean, he's pale now. It's winter. He probably doesn't get out. He smokes too much. And his fingertips are yellow, and he's kind of like a little bit nervous. William is so delighted to see you. He grabs your hands, he kisses you on both cheeks. Alice, I hear you were in Egypt as well. How did you like it? And how's Pamela? I mean, when is she coming back? Did she tell you when she'll be back?
She's still in France with her other family. But I'm quite sure she'll be around when the weather's better. Why would you be here at the moment? The weather's horrible. But and she will do a little bit of small talk about how lovely Egypt was, and he should go one day because
he has been.
Oh, he has been. That's true.
He was there with Pamela and Matthew.
That's right.
The year before.
Yeah.
That fateful trip to Europe.
Oh, the fateful trip to Europe. Yeah, I remember. Now, and she would tell him where they went, and they would probably go back and forth about what beautiful was, and she also in between would maybe even box him a little in the side, be like, and I heard that you almost won the competition, darling.
He beams at you and he says, well, we're gonna find out tonight. I know that I didn't win, but I don't know if I made it onto the pedestal, but here's hoping. And then Anthony Mayhew just basically puts an arm around his shoulder and he says, young friend, if any of these people have even half a brain, then you will make it onto that pedestal.
What he says, you definitely deserve it. You're a hard
and he draws
worker,
on a cigarette.
And you are such a brilliant artist.
And then you're introduced to Nigel Myers, who's also been who's also entered the New York City Spaces category. Then there is Penelope Smithers, who is entered into the New Perspectives category. John Silverman, who's also in the New Perspectives category, and Albus Craig, who's also in the New Perspectives category. And then there are other people, and of course there are more painters. So in each category there are about 6 paintings or 7 paintings entered. It's only paintings, it's not sculpture or anything. It has to be paintings, it's not photography. And you can also now go into the exhibition hall where all of these paintings are hung.
I definitely would, after the first just like hi saying everybody, also meeting a lot of people I know probably. And then I would have a look at the paintings.
So there is, the first one is called 4th of July. And it is oil on canvas. And it's a parade on the 4th of July down Fifth Avenue. So basically you see bunting, you see people celebrating. There are people who are marching, of course. They are wearing uniforms, and the uniforms are of the 209th Infantry Regiment. And you also see one person who's singled out. His name is John Joshua III Garfield, who, a plaque informs you, fought under George Washington. And he's wearing a gala uniform. Then you have a painting called Alone. It's oil on wood. And it shows one of those really tall cranes in New York Harbor. And it's the early morning. There is mist coming on from the sea. And next to one of those supersized cranes, in the morning mist, you see a lone seaman with one of those sea bags that they would store their stuff in, and he's kind of like diminutive compared to this huge crane, and he's walking along the pier. And it's all in kind of like grey, rusty colors. And then the last one, and this is by William Perkins, sorry, is called Central Park. And it's oil on paper. It's a huge landscape of Central Park, painted in whatever the English word for Fehlfarben is. I don't even know what Fehlfarben are, but that's what it's painted in.
Feel how missing colors?
Fehlfarben, Fehlfar, Fehlfarben. I don't know why it's called that. If it means that it's maybe kind of like more like a photo negative, maybe.
I never heard that before. That's interesting. Let's see. But there's a band called like that. That's not what we are. That's a rock band. I'm not sure. I'm not finding anything ad hoc. We will need to investigate. On that. Because I only find music. Oh, Falschfarben oder Fehlfarben. So if I see correctly, you on purpose use the wrong color that is not natural. So what would be red, you would do blue, or what would blue, you would do green, so it would look completely different.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, their example, it's just paint something natural, but use a color that is not naturally fitting to it.
Yeah, and here it says Franz Marx blue horses.
Yeah, the blue horses, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so basically it's just colors that don't match and
Yeah.
basically don't work. So William Perkins is going into interesting directions, artistically speaking. And then we have the new perspectives. The first one is called Downstairs. And it's rubbish on wood. It's more like a collage that has been painted, and it shows a family of 10 that have been put into a very small, very lightless single room in one of those really huge tenement buildings. It's grey, yellow, green, and basically looks totally desolate. This is more like a political statement.
Okay.
Then you have lights.
Lights.
Oil on canvas. It is New York. At dawn. And it is basically the front garden of a house in Brooklyn.
Okay.
And the person who is standing in that garden, ready to leave for work, looks like a bookkeeper or something. You know, like grey suit, really boring. But what makes this picture somehow interesting is the lights that shine through the windows of the house in front of which he is standing, because this guy has done something to the paint that gives it kind of like a really vivid look, and it's almost like, and he's managed to do something which wouldn't work in real life, but the guy is dressed in grey, the bookkeeper, but he's made it so that this grey suit reflects both the rising sun as well as the light rays coming from the window. So it's quite an interesting effect. Of course, not drawn true to life because it wouldn't reflect, but that's how it's done. And then you have a painting called The Ball, oil on canvas. And this one is extremely large, and the quality of the painting itself, the artistic quality, is extreme. So this looks like this was done by a master. It's kind of, I mean, each of these paintings, and it's only the ones that actually made it onto the pedestal that are shown, but you know from Alex Coxton's letter that they've had like 15 to 20 submissions for each of these two categories. So these are the 3 each that are the best. This one almost reminds you of one of the old masters, the old grandmasters of the Dutch school. Rembrandt, for example. And the ball is a masked ball. You would say, because you know about art as well, and you know about costumes and coiffure, this would be Renaissance garb. And people are wearing masks. So I always envisage it to look like Carnival in Venice.
Mhm.
That kind of idea, so very solemn. People are dancing, so
Mhm.
you see couples dancing, and they're basically doing a dance where each has a partner,
Yep.
and they are then forming kind of like a large circle.
Mhm.
But you only see part of the circle because you are standing inside the circle as the person looking at the painting. And
Understood.
in the middle, and you basically see the ballroom, it's huge and it's really lavishly decorated. There are golden candelabras. There are also, in the background, you can see tables against the walls where
Mhm.
food is stacked. Um, there's also a huge and recurring yellow symbol, which looks a little bit like 3 question marks that have been put together at the end and
Mhm.
basically form like a 3-pronged something.
Mhm.
And in the middle and at the center of what you as the and if you're standing right in front of the huge canvas, you are standing right in front of the centerpiece, and that is a very tall man, very thin, and he is also accompanied by someone else. There's another dancer next to him, and the lady standing next to him, he's got his arm around her, and you can see that his arm is very long, it's very thin. He himself is also wearing a mask, which is very pallid, and it's got not really a lot of face, so it's basically it doesn't have a mouth. It has like 2 little dots for nostrils and
Mhm.
two holes for the eyes. And the woman is the only person who's not wearing a mask. You can
Okay.
see that she has one hand basically outstretched towards the man she's partnered with, and the other one has fallen by her side and she's holding her mask. It's on one of those
Sticks, like thing that you can
yeah,
hold into your face.
long sticks,
Mhm.
and it's basically fallen by her side, and it almost looks like her arm has gone limp.
Mhm.
Um, and she looks surprised, as if she had been torn from the row of dancers and just pulled into the middle.
Mhm.
And I said already that the painting is really big. It's 3.5 meters long and 2.5 meters high. And it's the only one that has a really elaborate frame. The
Mhm.
frame is made of wood,
Yeah.
and it's huge as well. And you would say it's probably quite heavy, and it's bronze colored.
Mhm.
Um, and the woman, like I said, looks surprised. So she's got wide eyes and her mouth is agape as she's looking at him. Maybe she was also moving and he basically just jerked her towards himself, which is why she may be having this
Mhm.
reaction. And you can now give me a D100 roll, please.
Let's see. Let's see what the dice app is telling me. Because today we roll with an app because I don't have dice with me. So let's see what it says. It says 37.
Okay, that's easily a hard success on your spot hidden.
Yeah,
Because obviously, I would assume that you would also not just stand in front of the pictures, you would also walk around.
I would for sure.
What you notice is that it seems like this person, this dancer, this male dancer with a mask, the pallid mask, wherever you stand, he seems to be looking at
Looking
you.
at you. Oh, creepy picture.
It is, and now you can give me another one, a D100 roll, and so will Dottie.
Because I would stand next to Dottie, I think, and would be like, this is creepy. I rolled a 34.
Okay, that is well below your POW. So yes, it is creepy.
Mm-hmm.
But you are handling it well.
Okay. We've seen
Worse.
much scarier things.
But it is...
As long as it's not moving and running around in the painting, we have seen that before.
Yeah, you've seen that too. And nobody is moving at the moment, at least not that you can see.
Good.
And then at some point, Alice, sorry, I keep calling her Alice, Alex Coxton claps her hands and basically says, "Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time to announce tonight's winners. Out of the submission of 52 paintings in total, we have chosen these 6, 3 in each category, and now we are happy to announce who is first, second, and third place." And she says, the first prize for New York, sorry, the third prize for New York cityscapes goes to, whoops, I should not have removed the piece of paper.
Well, the obvious answer is William, but
the third prize goes to Alone by John Joshua Garfield. Sorry, no, 4th of July is the third prize,
Okay.
John Joshua Garfield. Second prize is Central Park by William Perkins. And first prize is Alone by Nigel Myers. And each time she announces a name, people are clapping, and the person who was called, whose name was called, is steps forward, and they get a check each.
That is...
So there is money attached to it. And William is beaming, and Anthony Mayhew is standing next to him. He said, "I always knew this boy would go far," and he's clapping and he's chewing on his cigarette, and he says, "Second prize, this is brilliant, and I'm so happy for him." And William comes back and he smiles at you and he's really happy, and you can see that he doesn't it doesn't matter to him that he's not the first prize winner, but the fact that he made it into the Met, that his painting is being shown, is already more than reward for him. And
he will for sure get a kiss on the cheek and a hug, and your painting is marvelous, darling.
He blushes, and he says, "And I can use this to pay for more tuition." And he looks at Anthony Mayhew, and Anthony Mayhew says, "Well, we will see about that." And you can see that it's $200.
Oh, that's quite.
Yeah.
Oh, that's quite a bit.
Yeah, that's 7,000 euros in today's money.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
And back then, of course, that was huge amounts of money.
Yeah.
And then come the prize winners in new perspectives. Third prize goes to Albus Craig for The Ball. Second prize goes to John Silverman for Downstairs. And first prize goes to Penelope Smithers for Lights. And there's a lot of clapping and so on and so forth. And now please make a spot hidden for me.
Okay, because after your description, I'm quite sure Alice would have picked Lights as her favorite from the 3 of them.
Yeah.
What is it with the 3? 36. I'm going through the 30s today.
Okay, but then again, that's an easy spot hidden, so that's a hard success for you. Again, people are happy, beaming.
Yeah.
With the exception of the person who made second prize in the category of new perspectives. Sorry, third prize, Albus Craig.
The ball, the painter for the ball.
He is not happy. He is only going through the motions of congratulating basically the other competitors and contestants. And you can tell that he is not happy at all. And he also leaves very, very shortly afterwards, because what happens now is there are drinks, there is some canapes, there is chit chat, people are talking, and Alex is informing everybody that these paintings will now be exhibited in the Met for the next 6 months, and that if somebody is interested in collecting them or buying them, they can make a submission. They can also suggest a price. They have not been priced. And of course, all of the other panelists like Robert Gliers, Lydia Gustafsson, and so on and so forth,
Yeah.
they are congratulating each one of the people who have submitted and been prized in this fashion. Do you want to talk to any of them? Do you want to mingle?
Alice will definitely mingle. She wants to talk to Alex. Asking about the quite curious painting of the ball and the little bit off. I know artists are a bit off sometimes, but if there's anything behind that, because that painting is creepy. It's well done, but it's creepy.
Well, I mean, I honestly have to say, I agree with your assessment. The artistic value is extremely high. I have not seen anything of this quality in a very long time. It's almost like it's one of the Dutch masters.
Yeah.
But it is very creepy. And interestingly enough, the painter, Albus Craig, is a complete unknown. Nobody has ever heard of him. He's new. He's originally of Boston. He and his wife moved here, as far as he tells me, 6 months ago, and he's been trying to paint here in New York, and apparently this is his first major work. And I mean, we looked at it for a very long time, but we can only, I mean, there is no record of a painting like this, so it is genuine. It's not like this is a painting that is old and that he may have stolen and submitted, or anybody has stolen and submitted. It's fairly new, and if you go very close and you suck in the air, you can still smell the oil.
The oil, yeah.
So, but it is quite disturbing in a way. There is something about this painting which really grips you. And she looks to the left and she looks to the right. She says, to be quite honest, when it's dark, I don't want to be in the same room with it because it gives me the willies.
I understand. It looks like that man in the painting is following you wherever you are going, which is, as I said, creepy. But well, also, darling, if you could keep me in the loop on how well the bidding for William's painting is doing.
Of course I will.
Maybe I want to mingle in. And also I would be curious on the painting of the winner of the new perspective, the lights.
Penelope Smithers' work
is stunning.
I know, and I think it's just this, the way she captures the greyness of the bourgeois way of life, and then it reflects the beautiful lights of the rising sun and the house. I was very, very taken with it, and I think I can, to be quite honest with you, all of the decisions were almost unanimous. The only problem was really the ball. 2 saw it as 3rd place, 3 saw it as 2nd place. But everyone else was always in agreement on all of the others.
I'm not sure I'm agreeing on the other one, but I might not be 100% objective. But here, in the new perspective category, I'm totally with you. Lights is the most beautiful out of the 3.
Yeah.
And it's not giving you the creeps. It rather warms your heart looking at it.
Yes, it's kind of an optimistic painting.
Yes.
That even in the greyness of everything, there is hope as long as there is light. And basically, she just and there are people who are now also approaching Alex and who
Yeah,
are
I think that would be
leaving.
enough. We will
And
just
one or the
drift.
other is actually leaving a calling card, but basically on the back you can see that they have written maybe the name of a painting
Yeah,
and a three-figure sum.
yeah.
And basically she's just taking this and collecting it and putting it away, and the first prize winners are also are given a photo op, so there
Hmm.
are journalists present who take photos and then who write kind of like a little bit of a story for whichever magazine. The New Yorker probably existed already back then,
Yeah.
things like that. So it is also and the crowd is large. I mean, there are easily 100 people in there.
Hmm.
And Dottie is also, I mean, she's not mingling because this simply isn't her crowd at all. But she's not a wallflower either. So you can tell that she is within
Yeah.
the room and within the action, but she's keeping to the side a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
But
at
she is,
least she knows
yeah.
William,
Oh yeah.
and so she has at least a little bit of contact for talking here and
Well,
there.
and one or the other young man is also trying to make
I'm
contact with
not
her.
surprised on that.
Yeah, so
She is.
especially Robert Gliers, who's 34 and a painter and art connoisseur, is spending some time with Dottie.
Alice will not disturb them.
Yeah.
Alice will try to sneak in to talk to Penelope for
Yes.
sure and just congratulate her on this marvelous painting. And it's so heartwarming and
Mhm.
positive, and it's especially in the current gloomy days
Mhm.
outside.
Penelope is a little bit of an oddball in that
Hmm.
she is dressed like a flapper, and she's the only one at the reception.
Alice appreciates that.
And she's also smoking. She's the
Hmm.
only one, the only woman who's smoking,
No.
except for you. And she's young. She's maybe Dottie's age,
Hmm.
25, 26,
Okay.
27, thereabouts. And she has a very sophisticated New York accent.
Hmm.
But you can tell that she's not from New York.
Yeah.
Because you don't know Penelope Smithers, and she would be, if she is from New York, you would know
Yes.
about
Yes.
her.
Yes. For sure.
Miss Baker, nice to meet you. And she shakes your hand, or she extends her hand towards you.
I will shake her hand, and as I said, I will compliment her on the painting, and that it's lovely, and congratulations to the well-deserved win.
Thank you so much.
And I will be looking forward to other masterpieces you will put out on the market.
Oh, well, I mean, they always say that the next painting that you haven't painted is always the most difficult one. And I can tell you, it took me a while to get inspiration for this one, and then it took me even longer to get it onto canvas and make it look just right.
Well, you nailed it.
Yeah, but it did take me a good while. You see,
That's how good art works. Sometimes it just is there immediately, and sometimes it takes time to get it, as you said, just right. And honestly, to paint the lighting and the shimmer here, that is something not a lot of artists would be able to nail like you did.
well, I've decided to take the prize money and to put it towards more education. So I'm
That's
going to Italy in the summer, and I'm going to take 8 weeks at a college there.
that is a very good investment, and you will enjoy Italy for sure.
I'm sure I will. I've heard so much about it. And of course, I've looked at all of the paintings that we have of the grand Italian masters that we have here in copy in New York.
Hmm.
And it's going to be so great. I mean, just to go to the Sistine Chapel and to see the frescoes in the flesh.
Yeah. What I would be curious, maybe a little out of the blue, but just to be curious, do you also do work for commission?
Well, nobody's ever asked me that.
Because you have such a amazing way of painting light and warmth. I would have. I'm still trying to find someone who would be the best to set our, and it will sound a bit weird, but hey, our cat. I would love to have her sitting in our window, just surrounded by the sunlight coming in. And that she looks like she's a little bit glowing because she honestly is well, like a family member. And so far no artist really was able to do that.
Well, I would certainly like to try. I would start with a sketch, obviously, of the cat in situ. I hope that she would sit still long enough for me to at least do a
Oh,
sketch.
believe me, Maeve will not move an inch.
I would like to try.
Then let's say and Alice will pull out her card because she still has, you always have to be prepared.
Yes.
She will pull out the card and hand it to Penelope.
It's the PI one?
Yeah. And then just, you have my number there. Just give me a call and we can set up time and day before you leave or afterwards, depending on how busy you are.
Well, I mean, I will be here until July, so...
Then, if you're up to it, we would enjoy at least, let's see how it goes, because honestly, I have to say, I want to invest in you because you will be worth a lot of bucks later on.
She takes the card and she basically glances at it, expecting to see a name, which is there, and then maybe an address, but private investigator is, she does a double take and she was like, private investigator?
Well, we all need to be a little bit out of the norm out here, right? It's not for investigation, I promise. It's just a painting for my beautiful house from my
I don't
beloved
think I've
cat.
ever met a private investigator, let alone a female private investigator.
Well, if you ever need a private investigator, although I hope you don't, I am there for hire then as well. Because we need good PIs, and honestly, there are good male PIs out there, but sometimes they lack understanding for females. I am so tired of hearing that we are hysterical.
She smirks.
She's heard that for sure before as well.
Of course she has.
So it's time to do our own thing. Wear pants, smoke whenever we like to smoke, and do the things we like to do.
I will drink to that when I get home. And then she says, well, will I just give you a ring in the next 2 days? Would that suit
would
you?
be lovely. I plan to stick around because we just arrived back from Egypt, so I am...
Oh, you've been to Egypt?
Yes, it's so lovely. William, and she will look and point over to William, who painted the lovely Central Park picture, or painting, not picture, painting. He was there before me, and he told so much, and friends he traveled with as well, so we decided we have to visit that as well.
She now quizzes you about Egypt.
Yeah, Alice is happy to tell her about it, and how lovely it is, and especially if you like light and sun and warm colors, this is the place to be.
Blue skies always, and
So with keeping on with that kind of art, she will soon be able to finance a trip to Egypt for inspiration, I'm sure.
Okay, so basically you talk to her, and this is going to take easily 45 minutes.
That's
because
fine.
you know you can talk all could talk all day.
And I'm quite sure Alice enjoys the being around someone young and fresh like that, and also someone who's not sticking to the norm.
Yeah. And so the two of you have a really nice conversation. Every so often somebody gravitates towards the two of you, listens a little bit. Nobody else has been to Egypt except William, so they're just basically listening.
Yeah.
And then at some point, I mean, the clock is ticking. It's now almost 12 o'clock. And then at some point, Alex says, I hate to break up this really lovely party, but and people have also started to leave at some point.
Yeah.
And then at some point you all decide to go home. Visiting cards have been exchanged, and Penelope has also had to excuse herself because other
It's
people wanted
totally.
to talk to her as
Yeah,
well.
at
But she
Alice,
basically
Alice
catches your
place, you have the
eye.
cards. We would say
Yeah.
goodbye. I think Alice would make sure that she would meet up with Alex in the next 1 or 2 days, at least for coffee.
Yeah. Alex invites you to come to her office in the Met.
Perfect.
And basically, before she leaves, Penelope looks for you and catches your eye, and she waves your card. And then the two of you, Dottie and you, take a cab and
Yep.
go home.
And I would fill in Dottie on
The plans.
on the idea, and when we are back home, Maeve will be
Waiting
also.
already in the window.
Yeah, and Maeve will get all the information and the idea, and well, the only reason she would need to sit still a little bit, but I'm sure she can do that, and we would have a lovely portrait of her.
She looks at you, and you can tell by her face that, of course,
Yeah,
she
I
will
thought
be
so.
able to be a statue if required.
Well, it's for a marvelous painting for you, my darling girl, and I'm quite sure you will like the artist. Penelope is one of a kind.
And she would probably be what qualifies as a dreamer.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, what is it like now living with Maeve, now that you know what Maeve actually is, or what they do, what cats do?
I think for Alice, it's now she would talk to Maeve like to a human. So not like, oh, Kitty, and she knows Maeve understands her, and she will treat her like basically like equal. She's one of the people here living in this house. The thing is, the time and meeting Maeve, as you're talking to her and so on, that was happy times for Alice. So she fondly enjoys the memories of that, and she just enjoys to know that Maeve is more than the usual cat that other people think she is. And yeah, so but she will treat Maeve well. She will not get more food or things like that. She was already a spoiled cat anyhow. But yeah, I think she would. She's done that before anyhow. I think Maeve was always someone who sit next to her and listened to her, maybe rambling ideas as well. And that will just move on. So it's just, I think Maeve just got a bit closer from feeling wise than before. Not sure how Dottie is handling it though.
Dottie is kind of, I think you think that somehow she needs to get reacquainted, because now for her this change isn't so easy to accept. But she does remember one thing, and that was that Maeve said she wants to be read to, and that she isn't just a cat. And that one day you see the two of them, you walk in on them. And she's holding Maeve in her arms, and they're standing in front of one of the many bookshelves that you have. She says, "Well, Maeve, so what would you like me to read to you?" And Maeve, and she basically starts to read the back covers of the information on the spines of the books. And then at some point she mentions one, and Maeve meows, and then taps it with a paw, and she says, "Okay, so well, then we will start with this." And the two of them sit down in the salon, and Dottie starts reading to Maeve. And Maeve is lying in her lap and not even trying to close her eyes or purring. She's
listening.
She is listening. Absolutely listening. And so you walk in on the two of them having kind of like a reading session.
Yeah, I think Alice would just quietly move out again with a smile on her face. She would probably prepare a big cup of tea for Dottie just to keep her voice going. And then she would just sit down close by, maybe with a drawing or with some paper and pen, just to draw and just a little bit. And just to be part of this.
Yeah, and this becomes kind of like an evening routine for Dottie, to read to Maeve, and
I
they
think
go through book after book.
and I think Alice would join them if she's not out with
Yeah.
friends, but generally I think for Alice it's also good because usually I think before the trip, Alice evenings often would end in her sitting with a book and a glass of whiskey in hand or something like that. I think this is a very good distraction for her to do something else. So she would draw, also improve on her drawing,
Mm-hmm.
and would just listen at the same time to the stories. Dottie's reading. Some of them she already knows, but she doesn't mind.
Mm-hmm. And then within, I want to say, maybe on the second day after this vernissage kind of thing, the phone rings and Teresa answers.
Hmm.
And she steps inside and she says, Madam,
Yes.
a Miss Penelope Smithers is on the phone
Oh,
for you.
thank you. And she would just
Mhm.
jump up and get to the phone. And Penelope, darling,
Miss Baker, I'm here to, I'm calling to see
please call me Alice.
Alice. I'm here to see if you're still, I'm calling to see if you're still interested in, commissioning a work of art from me.
For sure. And it sounds weird, but our cat agreed. She will sit still as long as she has to.
There's well, I suppose then that's a good thing. So I could come by whenever. Should I come by tomorrow with a sketch?
She would look around the corner and she would like, Dottie, darling, we don't have anything planned for tomorrow, do we?
No, tomorrow is laundry day, so I will be helping Teresa with the bed sheets because that's, the folding up needs to be done by two people. But other than that,
Then, Penelope, yes, for sure. Come on over. When would it fit for you tomorrow?
well, whenever.
Well, I don't know how early in the day you want to swing by.
10 o'clock?
That sounds lovely.
Mhm.
We will have some lunch snacks ready as well.
Oh, thank you so much.
Then, I will see you tomorrow. Address is on the card, so she knows
Yeah.
that. And then Alice will be, for the rest of the day, she will be quite excited and happy.
So the next...
I will let Maeve know as well that tomorrow
Maeve...
is the day where we will start the sketching and she will meet Penelope, the amazing artist.
Maeve is very appreciative of this. You also get the feeling that she will groom herself even more exquisitely that evening to look her best. And then the next morning at 10, the doorbell rings, Dottie opens because Teresa's busy doing the laundry. And she lets in well, she's not the flapper girl today. She's wearing pants. So she's not wearing the usual one with the, the usual flapper outfit.
Yep.
With the high heels. She's wearing pants and a blouse and a really nice coat. And then she's brought one of those really huge sketch books thingies. And then she says, "Well, so."
Penelope. And Alice will just basically walk over to the lounge and just see if she wants something to drink.
Well, maybe some tea.
That's definitely no problem in this household. So we will make some tea,
Mm-hmm.
and Penelope would see that Alice will go in the kitchen to make the tea, which is probably surprising.
Yeah.
And then Alice would come back, and I'm not sure if by now Maeve was already walking in, just
with her tail up.
Just like, okay, who are you now? Oh, you are. And well, Penelope, that is Maeve. That would be the object of painting.
She goes down on one knee and she basically holds out her fingers for Maeve to sniff. Maeve sniffs her fingers and then she basically waits a little and then she starts giving her little scritches. And Maeve approves of the young lady.
That's good.
And then Dottie picks up Maeve and she says,
Mhm.
"Well, I understand that you're going to paint her sitting in the window."
Mhm.
So she basically then places Maeve on the
Mhm.
windowsill and she says, "Maeve, now you need to hold really still until we tell you you can move again, because otherwise it's going to be really difficult for Miss Smithers to paint you." And Maeve totally understands what's going on, so she
Mhm.
sits, basically turns around a little until she feels she's giving the artist her best side.
Yep.
And then Penelope sits down with the
Mhm.
sketchbook and a pencil,
Yeah.
and she starts sketching the window with the drapes. I assume you have drapes as
Yes.
well.
Definitely.
And then in the middle of it all, Maeve the Great.
Mhm.
Um, and this takes her the better part of 60 minutes.
That's totally as
Um,
long as it takes.
and
Alice would curiously look over shoulder, just also maybe to learn.
she rolls an 11 on her arts and
Oh.
crafts. Being a painter, she has 80, so
Yeah.
that's a critical success. And it is a really great sketch.
Mhm.
Fantastic. She says, "Well, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this home and I'm going to we still haven't discussed what kind of medium you would like me to use. Oil on canvas, oil on wood, watercolor."
I think oil on canvas would be lovely if you feel comfortable with it, because honestly, the artist is usually the best to pick the medium because they know best what fits for the idea. But oil on canvas might be a nice choice.
I think I have just the right canvas already. I don't know if you know this because she doesn't know that you know about art, but she explains to you that, and I don't know why, I've just read it, that most artists are actually quite happy to reuse canvas that's
Yeah,
already been painted on for whatever reason.
because canvas is expensive.
Okay, because I
The
thought it
simple
was something to
reason
do with
it's
the fact that there's already paint and it basically may have cured the canvas, so it's easier to put paint on. I don't know.
you need to have it initially painted anyhow to have it a little bit more stiff, as far as I know.
Okay.
But usually it's just practically you save money
Mhm.
because you go through a lot, and if you buy canvas all the time, you will be poor.
So she says she's got the right canvas already, and it's kind of, if you like, primed because somebody's already painted on it.
That's
So it's stiff, as you said, and it's the right size. So because she now, of course, needs to think of a format,
hmm
and she says she has the right one, and then she will go with oil on canvas. And she gives you an estimate that it's going to take her about 3 weeks.
that is totally fine. If it takes longer, Alice would give her also. If it takes longer, just take the time that you think you need.
Would you like to come by at some point and I can show you the progress?
I would love that. Also, if you need to come back to for in between sittings or anything, just let us know. That's also no problem. Maeve is a very patient one, and she would give Maeve some scratches.
Maeve preens. That's exactly what she wants. And
I
then you
think
have
she's looking forward to her painting.
probably,
hmm
and then you basically
We would also agree on a cost estimate as
mhm,
well.
yeah.
That at least a direction that Alice knows what is, and Alice would also give her like at least half upfront for
hmm
materials preparation time, and
hmm
then the rest when it's done.
hmm So you come to an agreement. Alice knows how much such paintings cost.
Yeah, especially for someone who just won first prize
Yeah.
in the Met.
So you make an offer which is well within the
hmm
range of what would be expected.
Yep,
And then at some point, Dottie says, "Well, we could now have lunch if you guys are ready."
I'm totally up for that.
So she's prepared some light lunch, soup sandwiches and stuff, because obviously Teresa is still away
Yep,
doing the laundry.
yep.
And then after a while, Penelope takes her leave
hmm
because she also says, not to be mean, but she now has kind of like an image in
Yeah,
her head and she wants to start committing it to a medium almost immediately, as long as it's still fresh. She has the sketch, but now all of it is coming together with the light and the color
Yeah.
composition and blah, blah, blah. So she leaves. And then basically the day draws to a close. Teresa gets help from Dottie folding the sheets.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there anything you would like to do?
I think the only thing would be during that time as well to meet up with Alex.
Yes.
To see how the price is on Central Park.
Yes.
And also how the price is on lights on Penelope's painting.
Okay. So essentially, you meet up with Alex in her office, and people have been putting in money for or bids for lights, and we're now looking at around $250 for this one.
Mhm.
And William's painting Central Park is currently at 185.
I think she would give Alex the like whatever it takes, William's painting is mine. Price wise. And for Penelope she would throw in some money, but she would tell Alex that if someone wants a bit higher, that's totally fine because I will get my own Smithers.
Yes, you will get your own Smithers, yeah.
But she wants to make sure that Penelope gets the right kind of money out of the painting. And then just in between talking, Alice would be like, just to be curious, is there anyone crazy enough to buy this creepy painting?
Oh, yes, I've had some bids.
Who on earth would like to pay? Well, again, we are both agreeing that from technic point of view, this is a marvelous painting, but who in the right mind would like to hang that in the living room?
Well, that's always a question, isn't it? We've got one bid from Anne Litchfield,
Mm-hmm.
but she's going to put it into, well, it's a bid for another gallery. They
Okay.
would like to show it. So Anne Litchfield, you have heard of her.
Yeah.
She is someone who basically buys for galleries.
Mm-hmm.
So she's an art dealer. She's
Yeah.
not a collector. And then she tells you that there is also uh, Frank Belknap,
Mm-hmm.
who has put in a bid for the ball,
Mm-hmm.
and he is a collector as well.
Okay.
But she also informs you that Frank Bell has also put in a bid for the Central Park
Yeah.
one. So he's somebody who is interested. He knows his art, and he has money.
Yeah.
But I just rolled, so essentially I rolled a 15 over 18. So you outbid without knowing it. You have outbid everybody who has bid on Central Park.
Okay, but as I said, since Alex is keeping it together,
Yeah.
it would be I don't care what it costs, Central
Yeah.
Park is mine. And she wants to stay anonymous.
Of course.
And I think the rest with Alex would be just chit chat a little bit and just seeing how everything goes, and then just letting her do her job for the rest of the day. And then Alice will be quite proud to have Central Park
Yes.
for herself.
But you will still have to wait 6 months because
That is totally fine.
and then essentially that day draws to a close as well.
Yep.
And then you read the paper on a daily basis.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
So
On a daily
essentially
basis for weird things happening.
Yeah.
And for well, generally knowing what is happening if I need to have small talk with people.
Well, there are no real weird things happening. There are some births, some deaths. There's also things like, somebody got murdered in Central Park. Another person was found in the Hudson.
Mm-hmm.
A body of a woman but they've been in the water. She's been in the water for so long that she's essentially so bloated, and fish have been at her face so that nobody really knows who she is.
Yeah.
So she's an unidentified 20-something. And people are, and I mean, this is one of the ones that kind of like is very noteworthy because people are saying, okay, so have you, are you missing someone because we don't know who this woman is, and blah blah blah. And the other one who got killed, obviously got killed. It was kind of like a, I don't want to call it a shootout, but it's a mafia-related killing.
Yeah.
Where we know who the dead person is, and we probably also know who killed them, but to pin it on a particular person is impossible because the mafia don't act like this. They kill someone and then nobody goes to jail because nobody can prove anything. So that's what happens. And then at some point, you get a phone call from Penelope about 10 days later saying that she has made good progress and would you like to come and visit and see the painting?
I would for sure.
Okay.
And yeah, I will come by her place.
Okay, then please roll a D100 and I'm going to roll first. And I rolled a 44. Please roll against my 44.
Let's see. I rolled a 96.
Okay. You make, you have an appointment. You go to Penelope's place.
Yep.
You arrive. You ring the bell.
Yes.
No one opens.
I ring the bell again.
Still no one opens.
How peculiar. She would check her watch again if she's on time.
You are absolutely on time. I would say between the first ringing and kind of like waiting around and stuff, it's now almost 5 minutes or 8 minutes after the time. So you are on time, and now even over the time.
She's living probably in a building with several apartments, I suspect.
Yes, indeed.
I think I would step back and have a look, although I was never there before, so based on the bell, I should know which
Yes, she's on the top floor because obviously that's a very good place for an artist because it's bright lights.
She would step back and have a look upstairs. If does it look like windows are open or anything like that?
The windows are closed.
Okay. I think Alice would pull out her notebook that she always has with her, pull out a piece of, or tear out a piece of paper. She would write a note. Like, I was here, not sure where you were, maybe something came in between, just give me a call. Love, Alice. And she would then put it into the Briefkasten. Letterbox, thank you. Letterbox. And then she would head home.
Okay, you head home. You arrive. Dottie's there.
Yeah.
Do you say anything to her?
I think not. I think Alice would just probably in thought would just enter the house, drop her keys into the bowl where the keys are, and would...
Do you think Dottie would notice that you're in thought, or are you trying to hide it?
No, I'm not trying to hide it. She would totally realize that.
What's wrong?
Well, I had a meeting with Penelope to visit her and see the painting.
Yes.
No one opened the door. Or answered the door. Not opened, answered the door.
That is weird.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, I'm not sure if artists getting into kind of the zone maybe don't hear anything.
Very strange, isn't it?
It is. Because I also highly suspect that Penelope doesn't have her own phone line in the apartment. Depending on how wealthy she is, because not everyone had a phone line.
You would suspect not.
It might be that in the house downstairs there's a
Yeah.
central line for everyone to use, maybe?
Yeah, something like a party
Yeah.
line, yeah, but
Well,
yeah.
I left her a message. We will see if in the next 1-2 days she returns to call. If not, we need to check in on her.
I mean, that is odd.
Sorry to the listeners. And your own ears. Yeah, it feels weird. But let's give her the well, maybe something came in between. You never know.
Of course. So basically, what is your plan with regard to this? You've left the message. Are you going to do anything about it?
Oh, she will leave a message. She will wait for 1 or probably max 2 days. And then she would return to the apartment.
Okay. So basically, on the second day, around about 10 o'clock, there's a door, a ring at the door.
Okay.
And Teresa opens. You hear her talk. Then she steps into the lounge where you sit.
Yeah.
And she says, you have a visitor, madam.
Okay. Who is it?
An Inspector Grant.
Oh, God. That's not a good sign.
And what do you say? Do you let him in?
Yeah, obviously. Oh, God, yes. Let him in. Don't fight, especially not in my line of business. Don't be on the bad side with the police.
In steps your typical New York police inspector wearing a trench coat, so he's in civil clothes.
Yeah.
He walks in and he basically greets you. Ms. Baker?
Yes, Inspector. Cup of tea?
I'm on duty. No, thank you, miss. And he looks around, kind of like towards the sofa and the chairs. Do you offer him a chair?
Yeah, I will offer him a seat.
Well, thank you. And he
How
takes off
can
his
I
hat.
help you?
Well, this is a little bit of a difficult topic.
Who died?
Do you happen to know a Miss Penelope Smithers?
I think Alice will turn definitely two shades lighter, pale. Like, yes, she's an artist. I hired her to do painting for me.
Well, I'm here because Ms. Penelope Smithers is missing. And I came to you because in her diary,
Okay.
there is your card and your name.
Yes.
And it says your name is written down for 2 days from today in the past, so 2 days ago at 1400 hours. You were supposed to meet her. And I also found a note that seems to be from you in her letterbox. So my assumption is that you are probably the last person to see her. So my question is, when you met her on 2 days ago, was she in any way different? Did she behave strangely? Because
she wasn't there. That's why I left a message. We were, as you said, exactly during the time I should have come by to see the progress.
He's taking notes.
And I rang the bell at least 2 times. The windows upstairs, I could see from down the street, the windows were closed, so I was not sure if she was there or if something got in between. You know, not everyone has the luxury of a landline in the house, so maybe she wasn't able to call, so I left her the note that she should call me, and honestly, latest today, I would have been back at her apartment checking in on her.
All right, so how do you know Miss Smithers, if I may ask?
We met at the Met. She won a prize with one of her paintings there on, let me see, give me a second. She will pull out her notebook, just look through the calendar and be like giving him the date on when the Met gala event was. And I met her there, and her painting was quite impressive, and we got along quite well because she's a long, fashionable lady with a lot of perspective in the art scenery here because she has a big talent. And I asked her if she would be up for commission to do a painting for me, which she agreed to.
So she is working for you at the moment, is that what you're saying?
Exactly. We met, I think, 2 days after the Met Gala event, and she took already some drawings of my lovely cat in front of that window, pointing to it. And we agreed on pricing and timing. And as I said, let me see now, like 4 days ago, she gave me a call that she's quite good in progress, and I should swing by at the agreed time to have a look at it. She was always quite. She was. What is zuverlässig?
Reliable.
Reliable, thank you. Oh God, my brain is just. So she was always very reliable and open and friendly and hardworking. It feels like not her to be just missing in between. She was planning to leave the States in summer, but not now.
Yeah, because this would have been my next question. If she has been telling you about going away for, I don't know, some time.
Not at the moment. She booked some time in Italy in summer to train art basically and get better in her craft.
Yeah, but that would not be now, would it?
No, she talked about July, so still quite a bit ahead.
Well, this is odd. Well, and he takes out a card. This is my card. If Ms. Smithers contacts you, would you please inform me? Her parents have reported her missing. And
Is there anything exceptionally outstanding in her apartment? Something missing, or did something get moved?
Not that I've noticed. I mean, nobody actually. Her parents have never been to her apartment. She's not from New York, but it's her parents basically are used to her calling them every other day, and she hasn't been in touch for 6 days. So they basically came to New York and wanted to get into the apartment that they know of, but there was no answer. So they were concerned and they came to the police. Now, considering, because I know that she won that contest, the police are kind of thinking that maybe somebody might break into her apartment and steal the money or something like that. Now, the apartment has not been broken into, but she is also not there.
Would there be any way, you've seen my card, if we could have a visit at her apartment? Maybe I see something out of order.
That would be highly unusual, bringing in a civilian.
Well, I'm a private investigator and I know her. It's not that I want to go there alone. Obviously, that would be against the
Roll a
rule.
D100.
Persuasion. That is a 4.
Ooh.
Alice is professional charming.
Yeah.
And her idea is not to get there alone, but obviously with him or one of his sergeants to let me in and to see what I'm doing. I will not touch anything, Inspector. I just want to have a look around. Maybe I can find something helpful.
This is highly unusual. May I ask you to maybe not talk about this to anyone if I let you into that apartment?
We were never there?
He smiles at you and then he says, well, yes, then
We can go now if you have time.
yes, I have time. This is my job after all. And
Then give me like 2 minutes to get dressed properly, and then we can head out.
okay, so you get dressed properly.
Yes. Would you mind my assistants to join us?
No.
Dottie, darling, we are going on a small trip. And she would pull Dottie up the stairs.
Up the stairs.
Well, upstairs.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because I need to change.
Yeah.
Also, there we can talk without him hearing us.
Okay.
So pulling her upstairs, I would fill her in that Penelope is missing, and that her parents. Yes, her parents called the police. Usually she calls in every 2 days. She didn't. The police was. The inspector was in her apartment and found my card and my note. I offered him help by accompanying him to the apartment and having an eye open. We are both allowed to come. We will never talk about this, but we have a chance to have a peek around. 4 eyes see more than 2, darling.
Well then.
And I am worried.
I mean, it's odd.
It is, because she definitely did not run away. Why should she?
I mean, she's made money. She has plans. She is being commissioned by you. And if her parents say that she is somebody who reliably rings in every 2 days,
Yes.
the fact that she wasn't there when you called kind of like sets off alarm bells. I mean, yes, you can forget about an appointment or something.
Yes,
might have come up.
But she would have called by now.
And she would also have called her parents.
Yes. The only thing the inspector told me, I think Alice just grabs probably a pair of pants, some boots, and a coat. It doesn't look like someone broke into her apartment.
He said it didn't look like somebody broke in.
Yeah. And I will give Dottie time to at least throw something over as well that is appropriate to go outside. And then we would go downstairs together, and I would Inspector Grant, my assistant, Miss Williams.
Miss Williams, how do you do? And she, how do you do?
Did I say assistant? No, my partner. She's not the assistant. She's the partner.
He smiles at her regardless. Again, how do you do, Miss Williams? And she, how do you do's back. And the 3 of you make your way to the apartment.
Yes.
And he takes you upstairs. You step into the apartment, and it looks like a 1-bedroom flat. The place has an open plan kitchen, dining room, living room thing, which has been converted into the drawing workspace. And you smell paint, you smell oil, you smell turpentine and solvents. And you see canvases stacked. And there's an easel. And on that easel you see a 70 by 40 canvas. And you see a painting of Maeve the Great sitting in the window. The painting looks fantastic. You have this light reflection thingy going that you saw in the lights picture. It definitely looks like Maeve. Color patterns complete, but it's also captured the essence of Maeve. So basically the way she holds her head, the way her face looks, because every cat has an impression, like every dog has an expression. It looks like Maeve. Out of 1 million cats, this is Maeve. And the lighting effects are stunning. Dottie notices it too, and she says, that looks like it's almost done.
She said she's 70% done. That is like 99.99% done. But
Ooh.
This turned out beautiful. But we're not there for that.
So, what do you want to do? How do you want to investigate this place? What are you
Alice
looking for
would
specifically?
like to have a look around to see if A, she can see anything like fallen over, broken, or any kind of idea if something happened here, because we don't know if she basically got abducted here or she went missing outside, going to the grocery store or whatever.
Yes.
I would know that her painting that won is not here. It would be in the Met Gala.
Correct.
Okay. I would also have definitely look out for the check. Because based on what William got, I know how it looks roughly.
Yeah.
So I would definitely have a look if someone stole it. Not to keep it for myself, but just to have the idea if it was stolen or not. And also curiously seeing or also asking the inspector if in the diary there's any mentions of anyone else she was working with.
Okay, so then give me an investigation check. Roll a D100 and try to meet 50 or lower.
That is a 29.
Okay, that's a very good success. So first of all, you find her purse in a handbag, and in that purse is the check. It's not been cashed.
Okay. I would share that with the inspector.
But you also know that this is the kind of check that anyone could cash. So if somebody was interested in getting the money, they should have taken the check and they could have walked into any bank
But they
and they
did
could have
not.
received the money.
They did
This
not.
is not the case.
Yeah.
You also notice that there is food in the fridge.
Mhm.
So somebody who's planning on going away, there's
Would
milk,
not.
this has gone sour now,
Yeah.
so, you know. You also notice a burnt letter at the very bottom of her waste paper basket.
That will definitely be fished out very carefully, and Alice will do that openly, that the inspector sees all of this and can participate. So carefully fishing out. Alice would have gloves on, because they should have fingerprinting by then for sure.
I think they do.
I
Yes.
think fingerprints they had for the time. I don't think they had much more, but I think fingerprint for sure. So I would carefully with gloves pull out the letter and put it on a flat surface like a table, whatever is free close by, and would try to see if there are any snippets you can still read.
There is. And you read something, if you put it together, that reads like should not have been yours.
No name, no date, no.
But what you notice is it's been crumpled up, and then maybe later on somebody decided, I want to burn it. So it's not like a flat piece of paper that was burned, but somebody basically crumpled it up, probably threw it away, and then thought the better of it and decided to burn it.
Inspector, maybe you should have a talk to one of the artists that lost a competition to Miss Smithers. The place 3, basically. The artist is called Albus Craig. His painting, The Ball, creepy as hell, did only do 3rd place, and he was mad about it. He left early, he was really unhappy, and I'm not sure if he counted on the money and was angry that he didn't get it. That might fit to the letter.
Well, I mean, $500 is quite a lot of money, but I mean, then again, if I'm going to abduct somebody, I might also have taken the check if I was after the money.
That is true.
But I mean, it's a very good. I mean, I'm not disputing what you're
Yeah.
saying, but I'm just putting it out there. That is an interesting.
Also, let me give you the contact of the lady in the Met Gala who organized everything and knows probably quite a bit more about the artist as well. And she will give him the number of Alex and the address and the name.
Okay, so he thanks you for it, but then he also asks you to leave with him and he locks the place again.
Obviously, I would ask if he's okay that we throw out the food that turned, just to keep it not too crazy
He's fine.
messy,
He's fine with
because
that. Yeah.
so we would clean that out and take it down to the dumpster.
Mhm.
And she on the way downstairs, she would did you already ask the neighbors when they
Yeah,
saw her the
yeah,
last
I
time?
did. And they saw her 2 days before, well, one day before she had the appointment with you in the evening. Somebody saw her take out the trash.
Well, luckily we're heading to the trash anyhow to get rid of what we just took out of the fridge. So at the area where the trash is, Alice at least would like also to have a peek if it looks like someone snatched her maybe there. Just to start from there.
Give me a spot hidden.
Let's see. You never know when you can find something. That is a 69. That would be a success,
That is
but
a
just a
success,
normal
yeah.
success.
Um, I mean, it's been a couple of days
Mhm.
already, and the trash has already been collected, so there are
Yeah,
footprints and stuff you can't really.
but nothing like something from her that will
No,
lie on the
you
floor or
don't
something like
find
that.
kind of like a
Okay.
broken off heel of a shoe or
Mhm.
something like that.
Did the neighbors hear any fighting in her apartment?
No, actually, I spoke to them. Ms. Smithers is they're very happy to have her as a neighbor because she seems to be keeping to herself and she's very quiet. Of course,
Mhm.
her line of work is a very quiet line of work unless you know, she starts scratching on the canvas, which I don't think she does. But they haven't heard anything. But then again, they did say that it wasn't unusual for her to not come out for days on end, or for them not seeing her for days on end, especially when she was
Where
working.
she was working, yeah.
She might just basically, like depending on when she would do her grocery shopping, it could be that nobody is there because the people in this building all work, and it's kind of like a working class
Mhm.
area. So it's not unusual for them to not see her for a couple of days, but also nobody mentioned that she mentioned anything about going away or traveling or anything like that.
Well, Inspector, I think downstairs she would offer for him that they take a separate cab, not to keep him from working
Yeah.
because he's not a chauffeur. But she would ask him if, well, obviously, if she has anything, she will give him a call, or if Penelope contacts her. But she would also ask the inspector if he wouldn't mind if he finds out anything about her well-being or not so well-being, if he would mind to give her a call.
Mhm. Okay, you get home.
No,
No,
we go to the Met.
you go to the Met.
I will try to grab Alex.
Okay, you arrive at the Met
Yeah.
and you ask your way around. And Professor Coxton, you are told, is actually in one of the gallery rooms,
Mhm.
basically. And she says, "Oh, Alice, what can I do for you?" That's a
Um.
surprise. I mean, not
Well,
that I'm unhappy to see you again, but
it's a bit of a forewarning. Probably the police will show up not
the
too
police.
long in the
Why?
distance because I gave them your name, darling. You remember Penelope Smithers, the
Of course, how could I
amazing
forget her?
artist? She is missing
What do you mean
for
she's missing?
2 days, 3 days now. Her parents
It's
called in that she did not call them as she does every 2 days, and we had a meeting where she was not at home. And I just was in her apartment together with an Inspector Grant, Well, the apartment looks like she just never came home. And I never got the feeling that she would be, especially she did not run with money. The check from her win is still there.
That is odd. I mean, she was talking about going to Italy and using the check to finance the trip and
But
a class that she was going to take, but that wasn't until July.
exactly, that's what she told me. We found the rest of a burned letter that was quite angry that she got something, or she something that she did not deserve. I am the Albus Craig, the one who draw the ball. He was quite angry that she won.
Well, I mean, yes, but
Did
then
you
again,
hear anything after this from him?
no. No, as a matter of fact, I haven't.
Well, I think the police will just come by and see what you can tell them about maybe working with her or contact with her or whatever. Just confirm that she was here, that she did the first prize, and well, what you can officially confirm. I think, Dottie, we have a case. Although, honestly, I would be quite happy if we wouldn't.
I mean, yes, Mr. Craig was kind of a little bit upset, or maybe a lot upset, but there's a difference between being upset and actually then taking steps.
I know, although, honestly, someone who draws that kind of painting might be disturbed in other ways. I may be jumping the fence. I just have a weird feeling about him. But yeah, just that you know, I'm
Well, thank
quite
you
sure
anyway. I mean,
the
when...
inspector that well, it's my fault he has your name, but I think it's quite valid for
Oh
his
no, not at all,
investigation.
not at all. I'm happy to work with him. I mean, I won't be of much help because, to be quite honest, I haven't seen Penelope since that evening. It, you know, I know that she is busy, but so am I, and but I also have not seen any of the others. I haven't seen Nigel Myers or John Silverman or any of them. It's
Hmm.
you know, it's they're more than welcome to come to the Met and look at the art. But I have dates for all of them when we will be talking about, you know, selling the pictures, selling the paintings. But I was only going to give them some information on how the kind of like bidding process was going after the first 2 months or so, because at the moment, I mean, it's not like I'm going to give them daily updates on how their paintings are being sold. But I will talk to that inspector as soon as he shows up.
Then let's do that. And Dottie dear, maybe we should try to see if we can find her parents.
Yeah, maybe. So the two of you go home.
Yeah, we go home and we phone around or look in the registry to find out. Well, she's not from here, so she probably. I think
Yeah.
in the evening, Alice would like to return to the apartment to have a snoop around on her own.
Okay.
Dottie knows about it. She can decide if she wants to join or not.
Are you crazy? Of course I won't let you go on your own.
It's the step in the legal part that we are doing there.
Okay, so you make your way to the apartment.
Yeah.
The apartment is locked. Make a roll
Yeah.
on locksmith to see if you get in.
No. 53 is not good enough. My locksmith is not that high.
Which you find odd, because why would you actually have such a good lock?
Mm-hmm.
Because the whole building is... I mean, you are a good locksmith, you know, you
Yeah.
have the technique, you have unlocked. So you are a bit surprised, but actually this lock withstands you.
Then we have to leave.
Okay, you leave.
There's no other way.
It's now, I would say, 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock by the time you return. Do you want to do anything that night?
No, Alice will mull over her failure of opening that door, and she will probably sit a little bit longer than normal in the lounge downstairs with hot chocolate and try to think about different, or if there are other approaches to this, although I'm quite sure she will return to the apartment another day and try again.
It's late at night.
Mm-hmm.
You're sitting in your apartment, or in your house rather.
Yeah.
And you always take a last round, don't you? Before you
I always
turn
take
in.
a last round to see if everything is locked.
You have, since you've had Maeve, you've got a partner in crime when it comes to the patrolling.
Yep.
She's patrolling with you. Today she is actually sitting in front of the salon window, and the drapes are drawn, and she keeps meowing.
I will carefully step up next to her. Darling, what is something outside?
She basically wiggles her way in between the two drapes, and she jumps on the windowsill, which you can't see because it's behind the drapes. But do you do anything?
Yeah, I would probably pull the drape a little bit to the side and just see what she's looking at.
That it is very, very foggy. You cannot see the fence of your front garden. It's super foggy, and the moonlight is an eerie yellow in the mist, and the mist is swirling. And it's almost like there are people moving in the mist. And Maeve she's bristling. Her hairs are standing up on end. She's not going full bottle brush, but you notice that she is sensing something.
I would probably stroke her back, just like, this is not what it should be. There are people moving in the mist. I think Alice would stare for a little longer into the mist. And then she would finish her patrol just to make sure everything is closed up.
Everything is locked and
she
closed.
would also look upstairs she would also look for the windows.
They're all closed and shut firmly.
She would also peek in Dottie's room, even though Dottie's probably asleep already, but she would carefully just open, maybe just to let Maeve in. Probably to let Maeve in, because she would ask Maeve if she would mind staying with Dottie to look after her.
With an open door, and has been since Maeve has joined your household, because otherwise Maeve cannot come in and out.
Then it's perfect. But Alice would ask Maeve if she would mind staying the night with Dottie to make sure Dottie is fine.
Maeve looks at you, and it's almost like she nods at you or winks at you, and she basically runs over to Dottie, hops lightly.
Yeah.
On the bed and curls up with her.
So having a look if all the windows are closed, and then Alice is like, oh god, if it's fog it can creep in anyhow, latest through the fireplace. But she will, I think from her room, because her bedroom, no, it's on the back. She would go to her study and look outside front down on the street again, just to see if the fog is still there and what she can see from basically the first floor.
Okay, make a D100 roll, please, for me.
Because it might just be the lights and tricks of fog. That's a 52.
Okay. You look outside, and it's eerie. And you would say somehow preternatural,
Mhm.
but you can't really make out anything
Okay.
actual.
Mhm.
But it's weird.
Mhm. Alice would leave on. Well, she will leave the study. Will go to her bedroom. She will leave on the light in her bedroom for sure. Just at least the
Yeah.
night light
Mhm.
and at her bed. And I think she would read for a while
Mhm.
because I don't think at the moment she could really close her eyes to sleep.
Mhm. Okay, you read,
Hmm.
and then after a while you
Yeah, I
do
would.
feel tired.
Yeah.
You go to sleep.
Mhm.
You wake up the next morning
Mhm.
at your normal time.
Mhm.
You go downstairs, you make breakfast.
Breakfast.
Dottie joins you.
Mhm.
And Teresa, basically, you hear the as the newspapers drop through the letterbox, and Dottie, as is her wont, gets up. She picks it up, she brings it in, she hands it
Mhm.
to you. So basically, the two of you share it. So she takes half of it, you take half of it, and then you
Yeah.
start reading. And
Maeve is there as well, right?
Maeve is there as
Okay,
well.
good.
She's eating her food.
Mhm.
Teresa is there as well. She's doing her chores. She knows that she's not allowed to do breakfast or any form of cooking.
Mhm.
So she just does what needs to be done. She also joins you guys for breakfast at this
Yeah.
stage. So the three of you have breakfast, and then Dottie's like, well, this is odd. Look here. And she hands you the paper.
Mhm.
And it says that late night revelers um, have reported to the police weird goings on the Hudson River. It's described as Renaissance barges with revelers traveling up the river in the mist. And eerie music, eerily beautiful music being heard at night in New York City. What have people been drinking is what the New York Times is asking. And
Mhm.
should we not bring back prohibition? Or is this a mass hallucination? Is it in the water?
Could be in the air.
And we shall leave it there.
Oh boy.
Thank you very much for playing.
Thank you for leading us into the next adventure. I hope we can find Penelope alive.
Yeah, let's see where we get with that. We
Mm-hmm.
thank you all for listening, for watching. There isn't that much to watch this time round.
No, next time you will
Next
have
time we will
our
have video
faces
again.
back.
So that's gonna be 4 weeks from now, or 3 weeks from now, actually.
Yeah, with me traveling. Yeah.
If we take an interim step.
Yep.
Because it's still August in Germany, so there are some, when you're listening to this, it's still August, there are some holidays coming up, but other
Yep.
than that, we're ready to go again. And we wish you all a pleasant rest of the day, evening, night, whenever you're listening to this. And thanks again to our patrons as well. And be safe, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.